Perfect Talk is what it do. It's your guy DJ Playboy. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's go. On this episode, we're going to talk about the tragic train derailment that happened in India that left over 200 dead and about 900 people injured. Also, we're going to talk about the passing away of Wildin' Out alum Jackie O. We also got to talk about the shortage of cancer drugs in this country and an anti-LGBTQ law that Uganda just passed. That's kind of wild. That and much, much more, y'all. It's the Perfect Talk Podcast. What's good, y'all? It's your man DJ Playboy back with another episode of the Perfect Talk Podcast. And I'm here riding solo dolo here to talk to y'all, man. Ride out with my people. Perfect Talkers, how y'all doing? Like I said, I think if you checked out the last episode, I celebrated a birthday. I turned 39. So I've just been on a different wave. Just trying to, my birthday falls right in the middle of the year. So I'm trying to be on like a reset, you know what I mean? How we do with New Year's resolutions, kind of like mid-year resolutions, getting them ready, seeing which New Year's resolutions I didn't hit, you know what I mean? Viewers and listeners, long-time listeners of the show know I usually like around the middle point of the year, try to reset my goals and figure out what it is I'm trying to get done by December 31st. So, yeah, just really doing that. I'm about to run a 5K next week. My daughter was a part of a running program, and to end it off, they do a 5K celebration. So, I've been kind of training for that, you know what I mean? Plus just trying to lose some weight loss goals, just get right for the summer, you know what I mean? So it's really what we've been working on, what we've been hustling over here, and reevaluating what's been working content-wise, what's been working schedule-wise, and what could we implement new, what could we eliminate, just on that wave, you know what I mean? It's a little mid-year reset, you know what I mean? Turn 39, let's get things fine. But shout out to everybody out there rocking with us on YouTube. I see you. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, please. Shout out to all the listeners out there on the podcast streaming platforms. You know, I'm rocking with y'all always. And let's get right into it. The Plickers Spotlight Story. You know, I like to take a story I see. Probably, you know, sometimes it might be the biggest headline. Sometimes it's not. Just something that caught my attention and I wanted to put a little spotlight on. And this week was a teacher who did not hug a black student as she was walking down the hallway, right? It's a viral TikTok video that you see of a white teacher hugging white students, and when she reaches a black student, kind of gives her a shoulder pat. This teacher has been dubbed Edu Karen, and kind of been trying to be painted as being a racist. I'm not one of those people who's going to take a 10-second clip and make a judgment about a person. I think, actually, this video was 9 seconds. There's a lack of context there. I can't make a judgment call about how a person feels about a whole race of people for a number of reasons. I'm not a huge fan of teachers hugging children, and I say that super hypocritically because when I was a child, when I was a student, I would see a teacher I had in the past run up on her, you know what I mean? Just give her a hug. Hey, Miss da-da-da, how's it going? If it was a male teacher, you know what I mean? You give him a pound, fist bump, whatever it's going to be. And you know, it's like, yo, you know me, I know you, what up? You know what I mean? And this was actually a retirement walk out ceremony that students, I guess as teachers are retiring, are giving them a walkout and a nice embrace to, you know, show them some love. This was actually posted by the school on the school website because the person who posted it, you know, kind of came out of like, are you trying to make this person look bad? Or are you just trying to post something? And she was like, no, this was actually on the school page. Like I said, I don't subscribe to the notion that this lady's racist. I don't think you have to hug every kid, and regardless of race. When I was really young, I knew teachers that I had a best friend to this day that he's my homie, and he had a teacher that hated him, you know what I mean? And we were in class together, and I couldn't understand it, you know what I mean? She loved a lot of the other students, but she just hated this guy. And this guy went on to do great things in life, smart guy, went on to MIT, but this particular teacher just had some type of issue with him. And that showed me that teachers are human beings like everyone else, like in a good way and a bad way. Like, they got people they like and people they don't like, people they rock with and people they don't rock with. So we don't know why she decided not to hug this particular student in the video. Gave her a shoulder pat. And if you notice too, there's not hugging every single student. I'm assuming not every single student knows this particular teacher, and you're not just gonna hug students you don't know. So she could be the nicest person on earth. She could be the biggest racist on earth. I really don't know. Like I said, we can't be doing this thing where we just post a video and try to make a judgment call on a person. like I said, the lady who posted it, her name was Miss A, on TikTok, and she said that this was actually posted on the school community page. This happened in Waverly, Texas, and it was the retirement walkout, and the school recorded and posted on their social media, and I just happened to come across it. She said the reason she thought really wanted to post it was because there is a issue of racial bias in the educational system. Not only there, but I guess nationwide. It's a conversation that is had on TikTok, and she wanted to point some light to it. She said no one seems to believe us, and as she pointed out, issues of prejudice many teachers hold against students of color. So we're not going to pretend like racism and prejudice doesn't exist in the school system. It absolutely does. I don't know if to call this lady Karen, to call this lady any type of judgment call based off of a 9-second video where we don't even know, and it wasn't even a context given of, she didn't hug any black kids. Like, I watched her the entire time. Or maybe if it was similar to the Sesame Street issue where they had a lot of video of the Sesame Place characters at the theme park Sesame Place ignoring black patrons, but showing love to white children as they were walking past. So if you got proof like that, I could get on board and be like, yo, but I'm not gonna make a judgment call about this. And I don't think anybody should. And I think we got to get out of that. Like post. I won't say the posting, but just making judgment calls. It's like it's real easy to hop in the comments and be like, oh, like now this lady's this, now this lady's that, and it's like, is she? You know what I mean? Like, even one of the comments that I saw that caught my attention was like, now this black student has learned let me see, it's right here. Hannah Drake 628 wrote, in this moment, that little black girl was taught something about race, even though no words were exchanged, and she won't forget it. You know what I mean? Like, and it could be true, but it could be not. I don't think we could just make that assumption off of a 9-second video. You know what I mean? And it's strong. I know when I go to my daughter's school for like events, I'll see a lot of students hug teachers. They'll come up behind them and just hug them and grab them and all that. And like I said, I'm not a fan of all that. I think there should be a handshake between students and teachers and all that. Because when it gets weird, you know what I mean? We always go back to that gray area. You know what I mean? When it's something, allegations or some type of abuse or something like that, it always goes back to that area. And if we just have a clear line of like, yo, let's keep it, you know what I mean? Handshake. Let's keep it right there. None of this hugging anyway, because maybe I'm just not a hugger. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not a huge hugger in life. I don't think I'm a huge fan of it. So that could be part of it too. But Karen, you know what I mean? If this is a true judgment of who you are in life and your character, then that is disgusting. You should look at all children, not based on their race, but based on the content of their character. If you and this particular student didn't get along, and I switch sides and I say you are completely obligated to not hug somebody you don't want to hug. If this was a student that you had maybe arguments with or was difficult in class for whatever reason, then you can ignore them and whoever else you want to ignore. And if this was just a mistake that happened to be caught on video, hey, hope you can move on from it and be able to grow. But yeah, like I said, I'm not with the whole crucifying people over 9 seconds videos. Next up, man, we're gonna take it to my favorite segment, and it's called Have You Heard? I hear headlines in the news, and I bring them to the table to see if y'all have heard. First up, man, thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of the train derailment in India, where there were over 900 people injured, and I believe the death toll has risen from the original 200 to 288 as of the time of my recording, and possibly by the time you guys hear this, there will be more. You know what I mean? And it's sad, something that could have been avoided. I believe that safety and precautions on the railroad system in India were an issue of concern. This was something that was almost inevitable if no actions were taken, and the proper actions don't look like they were taken. Now, if you don't know, India has one of the biggest railroad systems in the world, if not the biggest. Millions of people a day use that railroad system to get to wherever they have to get to. So when I first heard the numbers of 288 and 900 injured, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, how many people were on it? You know what I mean? And people still trapped, people still unaccounted for. Like, that was nutty when I first heard it. And I'm just like, that number was such a big number to me that it kind of hit me like, how could so many people and then like I did find out a few more details, and it made sense. It wasn't just one train. It was actually, I think, a total of three trains that had run into each other. I believe one, I'm reading here from Financial Times, one fast moving passenger train, the southbound Coromandel Express, received the errant signal and moved on to a backup track where it crashed into a stationary goods train, according to the government report. A third passenger train heading north then hit the derailed carriages, and that crash has killed at least 288 people and injured more than 800, close to 900, making it India's worst railroad accident in more than 2 decades. Um, Thoughts and prayers are definitely going out to the victims of that train derailment. Like that's one of the scariest things I can imagine. I used to take the subway as a kid, and just any type of thing happening on the subway, what I mean, would scare the shit out of me. Like, so to know that people were trapped, to know that families and people still haven't accounted for some of their loved ones is really scary. And thoughts and prayers are definitely out to the people out there in India. Next up, I want to talk about something sad that I saw, man, and thoughts and prayers again. Rest in peace to former Wild 'N Out alum Jackie O. She was longtime lover of DC Young Fly. They have 3 children together. And yeah, she died at the age of 32. Definitely sad. You hate to see that. Was a big personality on social media, known for just being a mother and posting just like how much she loved taking care of her 3 kids, how much she loved being a mother, how important that was to her, as well as I believe she had a beauty line. And I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not well versed with this young lady. Also, I've heard the rumors that this was due to a mommy makeover surgery, and I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, even NBC News has gone as far as to mention it. They said they couldn't confirm it, but they've heard that was possible. I believe there was a tweet that was deleted that she had gone to Miami to get the that particular surgery. But I can't pass judgment on that because we all participate in activities and actions that can lead to our death. That's risky. That can cause harm later in the future. So it would be very hypocritical for me to sit here and pass judgment upon her when I know I myself might do some activities that could later come back to haunt me, or even take away my life. Also, I know the demands of being in front of a camera. Um, at one point this year, I was doing 2 podcasts on camera. You know what I mean, and I had to be ready, to go. So that there's a lot of pressure in that, having to always be on screen, and you want to look a certain way, you want to feel a certain way. So I can't fault her if that is the reason why this happened. Her family is asking for privacy, and yeah, just something I wanted to mention, man. Something that we don't hear about too often. Someone that young, passing away, but you do hear about the risk with those particular surgeries. So I guess the only thing I can really say is you you don't really know the value of something until you lose it. You like the risk, right? You know what I mean? And you don't necessarily want to take risk if it could be avoided. And you also want to know the reason why you are taking those risks, and make sure that they're for the right reasons and not for particular to impress anyone. You know what I mean, or something. Because we see the cautionary tales. You know what I mean. We know Kanye West's mother passed away after getting cosmetic surgery in preparations for his wedding, allegedly. So it's something where we've seen, this go left, and she's, not the only one. We've heard horror stories. We heard of women having injuries that could last for a long time. We're also seeing a rise in men getting cosmetic surgery. So, I mean, just know what you're doing it for. You know what I mean? And I'm old fashioned, I guess. Maybe I want to do it the hard way in the gym. You know what I mean? But everybody don't their body doesn't react the same way to going to the gym. Their body doesn't react the same way to diets. Their body doesn't get to where they want. So all I can say is make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Make sure you're doing it for yourself. Make sure it's going to get you to where you want to get to. And definitely thoughts and prayers out to Jackie O's family, DC Young Fly, the 3 kids. My heart goes out to you guys. And yeah, just wish, just hope her memory lives on. You know what I mean? Moving on. Have you heard? There's a shortage in cancer drugs across America. Um, this is something that's particularly scary to anyone who knows a person who is suffering from cancer or may need chemotherapy. But just in general, I mean, even the doctors are showing a immense amount of fear that this is a real risk, and if something's not done immediately, that this could cause immense harm. Doctors are already put in a weird position where they don't know, uh, or I should say, they're forced to make difficult decisions about how to diagnose and how to treat their patients because of the shortage, and they have to try to work around the shortage. I'm also seeing that it's not just the cancer drugs, which there are 14 different cancer drugs that are facing a shortage right now. But at the end of 2022, a total of 295 active drug shortages were going on. So, that's outside of just the cancer drugs. You know what I mean? That's almost another 281 drugs of all sorts. So, you know what I mean? And I even heard that people who need the certain drugs like Ozempic, uh, and things of that nature aren't able to get it because there are people who are using it for the purpose of trying to lose weight and trying to get right. So when the people who might suffer from, I believe it's people with diabetes might use Ozempic. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me, but let's say that it is. The people who do need it aren't able to get it because people might be using it for the wrong purposes. Now they're not quite sure what the reason is why for the cancer drug shortages, but it is something scary. This is the highest that it's been for 20 years. Doctors saying that this is the worst that they've seen. Um, and I think a bigger thing that it shows us as a nation is that we were focused a lot on healthcare when probably a lot of attention should have gone towards prevention, right? To like healthy habits and healthy ways to cause. And that's not saying that all types of cancer could have been avoided. But it does show that you have this economy that was so dependent upon healthcare as opposed to prevention that when you have a shortage in the healthcare resources, the people who are already suffering can't get what they need. So as someone like right now, as myself, I'm looking at it from outside looking in, like what health choices can I make to kind of eliminate later health issues, you know what I mean, or just any health issues in the near future that could possibly be avoided, whether that's screening, whether that's changing my diet, whether that's just being on top of just my anything health related, because you don't want to wait until it's too late. I'd rather focus on prevention as opposed to having to focus on healthcare and then be put in a position where I'm dependent upon the shortages. Sorry, the lack of their ability to not have a shortage in these particular drugs. No, so that's truly something scary for anybody. Like I said, not only people who just and just generally concerned about it, but anyone who does have a loved one that is suffering from any sort of cancer. So our thoughts and prayers are definitely with anybody that's going through shortages right now. Anyone who's having to deal with that. Have you heard? This is something that caught my eye this week. Uganda in Africa enacts a harsh anti-LGBTQ law that includes the death penalty. The law punishes aggravated homosexuality with the penalty of death. And this legal change has been condemned by leaders throughout the world. It's a little wild, you know what I mean? Like I said, it's a weird month because this is Pride Month, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's June. You're seeing people boycott or call out Target for having Pride merchandise. We just came off the heels of the Budweiser issue, and it's like people are being extremely bold with their anti-LGBTQ views. But they're just showing out for Pride Month, I guess. Same-sex relations were already illegal in Uganda. And it's not just Uganda. There are other countries, as many as 30, that find it to be illegal. But this is probably the first law that is going to give you the death penalty before it. It also you get the death penalty if you had aid in the transmission of HIV/AIDS through gay sex, and it decrees a 20-year sentence for promoting homosexuality, which would probably be anyone who is an activist for the LGBTQ community in Uganda. And this has caused people who live in Uganda to flee, to become refugees. You know what I mean, and leave, because if you were already an activist that they already knew you as, once this law went into action, you had to run for your life pretty much. So I can see how scary that could be, and that's something that I definitely want to use this platform to shine a light on. Like, this is insane. The President Joe Biden called this move a tragic violation of human rights and said Washington will evaluate all implications of this law to make sure it's not violating human rights. But yeah, just when you think that the world is changing for the better, man, like you see stuff like this that really puts it in perspective, that as far as the LGBT community has come in this country, or yeah, well, in this country, in America, there are other places in the world where it's not flying, and it's open. It's open. Like, I'm looking at a map right now, and it's just showing some of the countries in Africa where same-sex activity is punishable with prison or the death penalty. Looks like Sudan has imprisonment of up to 10 years to life, as well as 9 other countries. 3 countries will give you the death penalty for that, for being homosexual. And there's about 20 other countries that have an imprisonment of less than 10 years. Yeah, it like I said, it shows how far we've come as a planet. But really, we just on the same old shit where we're just discriminating against people. I as a black man look at anything against the homosexual community or the LGBTQ community, excuse me, as the same way that I suppose like a white person looked at atrocities done to black people during the civil rights era. Like, you're on the outside looking in, but it's like you do got to speak up about it, because if you don't, then nobody will, and it's nuts. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Whatever your views are on it, to go as far as to give somebody the death penalty because of it is extreme, to say the least, and psychotic. You know what I mean? To go even further. So thoughts and prayers are out to the country of Uganda, and hoping to see if we can get that sorted out, because you would hate. I can't imagine being a refugee in my own country. You know what I mean? As far as America is, I don't as black people, I don't think we get treated equally, obviously, but it's never been to the point where I ever felt as a person I had to flee. And I'm sure there's people out here that hear me speak right now, or see me speak, and they're like, there's homosexuals in this country, there's transgender people in this country, there's people of all sorts that identify as what they might not look like, and they gotta feel like outsiders in their own country. So my heart goes out to y'all as well, because I can't imagine it, man. And moving on, have you heard? Fort Bragg is now known as Fort Liberty. I believe Fort Bragg is in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, and it's one of the oldest war bases in this country. But Fort Bragg was changed because, if you didn't know, Fort Bragg was named after General Braxton Bragg, an unpopular Confederate general who garnered a lot of criticism for his hot temper, combative personality, and often subpar performance on the field. So before I go even further, why was there anything named after this guy? Doesn't seem like he was liked by his people. He was on the side that lost, and then seems like he had subpar performance. It kind of goes to everything that we see in this country, that where love was shown to Confederate soldiers. It's like, these people are treasonous. You know what I mean? These were people that decided that they wanted to start a civil war with their own country because they didn't want to follow what the president wanted to do. And it's just like, we're naming army bases after them, and it takes up until 2023 for it to be changed. There were 9 bases that had proposed name changes, and all the other ones actually will be named after notable people, such as, like, I believe Fort Hood is now known as Fort Cavavos, in honor of General Richard Edward Cavavos, a veteran of the Korean and Vietnam Wars. I believe he was the first Hispanic person to wear 4 stars on his uniform. I'm not going to pretend like I know what that means, but I know it's honorable. So I see what they're doing. Like, they're definitely going to name a couple of these bases after, like, African American soldiers. Like I just said, Fort Hood is now Fort Cavavos, and it's going to be in honor of a Hispanic soldier. So you know what I mean. Kind of trying to reverse course, and kind of how can we overcorrect? You know what I mean? But it's like, why was the mistake even made in the first place? It's like they lost the war. Why are we naming army bases after them? Come on, y'all. But I can't get mad at somebody for realizing their mistakes and stepping it up. So definitely salute to the U.S. military for taking that step, and shout out to all the individuals who will now have army bases named after them. Individuals, like I said, that have done things throughout history and are now receiving their proper due. So shout out to y'all. We just actually off the heels of Memorial Day. So shout out to all the veterans out there who lost their lives fighting for this country and make me able to do what I do here, y'all. And that's another episode in the books, man. It's your guy DJ Playboy. You can find me on Twitter at DJ Playboy. You can find me on You can find me on Instagram at Pliccapeezy, PLICCAPEEZY. You could also follow Perfect Talk on Instagram at Perfect Talk Radio. Go check out the website, www.perfecttalkpodcast.com. Follow us on YouTube at Perfect Talk Podcast, baby. And yeah, we just spreading peace and love. What we do over here. Also, you can check us on all your favorite streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that, all the above. You know what I mean? Shout out to, I think I shouted out the website already, but I'm going to say it again, damn it, perfecttalkpodcast.com. Go check out every episode of the Perfect Talk Podcast, the radio show I do with my brother, DJ Show, Money Talks Radio, the 1st and 15th mixes I do with my homegirl, Ayo Niche up there as well, and my radio show, The Night Shift. It's all up on there. Go check that out. Go enjoy that. We just going to keep things moving, baby. I checked out a new television show yesterday on Netflix. Kind of heard about it. I think through a podcast. It's called Chimp Empire, and I'm always into documentaries and nature shows anyway. You know what I mean? I like to watch the animals fighting. But no, this is cool. This is dope. I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm not gonna front. I'm one episode in. So I'm slow balling it because I got busy and had to stop watching. But yeah, that's the only thing I'm really on nowadays. And I'm on a lot of audiobooks. A big thing I'm trying to do with, like I said, I'm on a reset. So I'm trying to listen to new audiobooks, maybe go back and listen to a few. Like I'm listening to The Richest Man in Babylon again. A great book for anybody out there who hasn't checked it out, and anyone who has checked it out already knows. Great advice on there about money. Try to do learn a little bit more about financial literacy, step my game up in those departments, as well as just anything. Like I'm big on education. I'm big on, just learning what we do here, with the podcast, what we do on social media, what we do on YouTube. So I'm big on learning all that. I'm trying to learn some new instruments. That was a goal I had since the beginning of the year. So hold me accountable to that, y'all. And let me get back to it, man. Let me get back to, all the grind, all the education, everything. What did we learn on this episode, though, y'all? Teachers, don't hug the kids, man. Keep yourself out of trouble by doing that. Military, do not name army bases after Confederate soldiers, after people who lost the war. And just, a lot of thoughts and prayers to, people that are suffering from cancer, drug shortages, Jackie O's family, thoughts and prayers out to her, and definitely the victims of the Indian trail derailment. We want to send our thoughts and prayers out to them as well. So, spread love is the Brooklyn way, y'all. We up out of here. Peace.